there were, I realized, 3 questions that I left unanswered that I'm from the QandA-anon session that I'm going to answer now, because I think they're all interesting questions, and I didn't mean to neglect them. Okay, first of all, somebody asked me what I thought of Quantum of Conscience's channel. Now, I've talked about Quantum of Conscience's channel before, but for those who are new to me talking about this, I went through a period where I found him really intriguing. Matt, what's his name? Hey guys, it's Matt. That's how he always begins. I don't want to say I don't want to dog him too much, because I think his heart is in the right place. I did generally eventually find him a little tedious, because to me it just seems like he's always it's always like he's just dismissing things. He's always saying, "Oh, you're still trying to find out the real 9/11 story. That's just something that the system holds out in front of you to get you running around in circles trying to figure out. It's not important." And that just seems to be what he ends up saying about just about anything, any kind of lie that we've been told by the authorities, by the powers that be. It's like he almost always just seems to say, "Oh yeah, well that's not really important, because nothing really exists, because we're living in the Matrix, and this thing that they're pretending to be reality isn't really reality." And I don't know. I find that to be a cop-out. And also, I would add, I actually believe that what we see around us now, let me just show you my immediate surroundings, that this is reality. And what you see around you is reality. It's real. We're not living in the Matrix. We're living in a real world, surrounded by real things. Nature is real. It was created by God, but the world is bent. The world, because of sin, if you like. I don't want to get too deep into theology or anything like that here. But things are wrong, things are bad, and bad people are in charge, and bad people are doing bad things and perpetrating lies and deceit on us. And so that's a fundamental difference between how I view things and how how Matt from Quantum of Conscience views things. Also, here's another thing I would say about Matt. He sort of he's a little schmoozier than I think he lets on being. I remember him talking once about how he was used to be in advertising in some capacity. Not that makes him a bad guy, don't get me wrong, but he kind of has this like, "Oh, I'm just a loser sitting in my apartment, I'm not, don't mind me, don't mind my rantings and ravings." He almost has that kind of self-effacing way about him, but really, I think he's slicker than he appears. He's a quite ingratiating sort of character. And it's not bad to be ingratiating, don't get me wrong. I just think that's something you should pay attention to if you watch his channel. He's good at relating to people. He likes movie references, and he makes references to them a lot, and I don't mind that. I'm not saying there's anything bad about that. I'm just saying it's an example of how he what I'm calling schmoozy. Maybe that's not quite the right fair thing to say. Maybe that's a little too negative sounding, but I think he has a way of reaching people that bespeaks some kind of craft. Okay, that's all I'll say about it, because that runs so counter to the way that he presents himself. It comes across as me, just dropping some kind of bomb or something like that. So Diaz asks about TIs, or targeted individuals. I think I've talked about this before as well, whether TIs exist or not. I think there are some legit TIs out there, targeted individuals, people who are, for one reason or another, signaled out for harassment, and they get it, and the whole idea is to make them break or something, or just to mess with them, to drive them crazy, either because they've done something that the system doesn't like, or I don't know, maybe just for the hell of it. I think there are some real legit ones, and I think there are also some people who think that they're TIs when they're actually just maybe paranoid schizophrenics. Again, I think it has to be seen on a case-by-case basis. Finally, I was asked about Isaac Cappy. Was he whacked by Hollywood? Yes. Isaac Cappy was absolutely, I don't know the entity that knocked him off. I don't know the means by which it was done, but there's no way you're going to convince me that he committed suicide by jumping off of that bridge in that remote area of Arizona. Jumping off of an overpass 10 feet down to get run over by traffic. That's not a method by which one commits suicide. So something happened to him. I don't know what it was. On my last channel, I'm guessing that whoever asked me this wasn't a big follower of me before recently, because and that's fine. I'm not. It's not like that. That's a big deal at all. Some new, some old, some a little bit of some somewhere in between. But on my old channel, I was a big Isaac Cappy booster. I was supportive of Isaac from the beginning, from the time that he came out with his revelations. I believed him. I believed that the things he talked about, the experiences that he had in Hollywood with the people that he had experiences with, I believed that they were true, that he was telling the truth, and that got him targeted, and led eventually to what happened to him. I don't know exactly what it was that happened to him in the days before his death, how he came out and made some kind of confession about having sold people out in a very mysterious and ominous video where he sounded like he thought the end was near. I don't know what to make of any of that. I think after Isaac died, I said that if I had the funding, if I were somehow independently wealthy, I would probably fly out to Arizona and conduct an investigation. Ask around and do some digging. That was how I felt. I really felt pulled to want to do that immediately afterwards, because it just really struck me as and it struck me as a terrible thing that had been done unto him. And I had grown to think of Isaac almost as a kind of friend, even though I'd never corresponded with him that much. But he was very good at talking to people. I don't think he saw himself as above anybody, and he would write people back, if they would write him, and he would get back to them. And he did the same with me. There were times where he and I had like text conversations, which was cool. He was I think he was a good guy. I don't think I think he maybe went into this whole thing a little naively. I don't know whether he had his shit together all the time, and I think he was probably deceived in some ways, because he was a big QAnon guy. He was a big Trump supporter guy, and I've always been dubious of those things. I'm dubious of QAnon. I'm not dubious that the rich and powerful are doing bad, terrible stuff that cries out for justice. So I think Isaac was was on the right track in some way, or was telling the truth. He was telling the truth about his experiences. I read when I remember almost like a couple weeks after he first, started to come out of Hollywood with these revelations. I remember I went on 8chan, even though I'm not an 8chan browser. I mean, look at me. I'm like 30 years too old to do that. But I went on and I read his whole account, and it was very compelling reading. Maybe I'll do that again sometime soon, or maybe you could just go to Neon Revolt. I think it's still up there on that page, and look at what Isaac says, the account that he gives for what he went through. But yeah, Isaac Cappy, rest in peace. Definitely believed him. Definitely believe him. I think he was a good soul, and I pray for him. All right, so I think that takes care of everybody's questions. Sorry I missed those three, but I think everyone has been answered now, and I'm signing off. Talk to y'all soon.